And we are going live in 5, 4, 3, 2. We're live.
Good morning, Owasso. This is the Twins with Owasso Live, and this is the Morning Loop. It's currently 8 a.m. like usual. It is 57 degrees out. It is nice. It was warm. I mean, I walked outside and just wore a t-shirt and shorts to go to the gym this morning. It was fantastic. So weather's looking really good. We got a high of 72 today, but it's going to get really windy, and it's going to drop to the high 60s by 5, so just be advised of that. The wind's going to start blowing later in the afternoon. But again, the weather's going to be nice, so it should be hopefully a warm breeze, not a cool one. So enjoy your evening time with maybe a stroll or a walk. Take your dogs out, walk your kids, ride a bicycle, something like that. Do something fun in the evening time. Now, traffic conditions going into Tulsa, it is steady but fast. So there's no real traffic delays going into Tulsa as of right now. It was a little slow earlier, again, on our drive here at like 7, but it's not going to be a factor now. So 169 is A-OK for your commute into Tulsa. So be advised there. Now, moving on to local news, we're going to try to be as tactful as possible because there's just we couldn't not talk about it because
it's getting blown
up. We're looking in the Owasso, what is it, the Owasso?
All About
Owasso, and we're looking at just community pages here in town and TikTok. I mean, nationally, the stuff is blowing about this little non-binary girl who had passed away, and there's just so much misinformation. Like, this is stuff, when stuff like this happens, it's bad. It's terrible this girl lost her life, but it doesn't seem like it was probably because of some level of bullying or insecurity on her part. But it's just, there's so much misinformation. So one of the most true statements I've ever heard is, a lie travels halfway around the world before the truth has time to put its shoes on. And that is true with this case. People are just jumping out, making assumptions, and putting out tons of disinformation and misinformation, whether or not it's through intentional cruelty, malice, or just ignorance, because there's just so much information being shot out at you. That's why you have to be careful. You should, whenever something like this happens, wait a week. Don't just start, unless you were there, don't just start rah-rah and making a scene, because that's what a lot of these people in this community are doing. And it's people, it's moral busybodies, people who have nothing better to do. And I get it. This is a kid lost their life. But it doesn't seem, if I was going to speculate, and this is my I would say it was self-inflicted, more than likely, because it was not because of the altercation. According to, who was it? Art.
No, it's the police report. It's the Owasso.
It's the Owasso police report. Art Howaday had put out an article, and the title of it is, Nex Benedict, the child in question, or kid in question, teenager in question, did not die as a result of trauma, the physical trauma she sustained in the altercation in the restroom, which is what all the TikTok videos are saying. They're saying she was murdered in the bathroom by three other girls.
People. Mm-hmm.
So that is misinformation. They all left the school under their own power, dealt with the resource officer, the police officer that works in the school, and then the next day is when they were checked into the hospital. Now, what occurred? Is it possible somebody went to her house and bullied her there and did something? But I doubt it.
Yeah,
because nothing was mentioned there about that. The articles were pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
And like I said, if you know anything about the rates of unaliveness or suicide for trans people or non-binary folks, it's not good. It's 40%. Now, navigating the difficulties of adolescence is already tough enough, and then you add something like that to it as well, where you don't know yourself, but a bunch of people in a community that you meet online or whatnot say they understand you better than you understand you, and feel that you get in this bubble, you get groomed by these folks who tell you, yeah, do you, and be different and stand out. And it's like, look, Egger said it the best. You can change yourself and who you are, and you can become a different person, but you can't do it in your hometown. Like Egger said it. I interviewed a fellow officer candidate, and he was going to be a man of the cloth. He goes, you can be a minister, preacher, or whatever in every town you go to, except your hometown, because people already know you in your hometown. You can't change, yourself. You can't change people's preconceived notions about you when you've lived with them for years. One of my favorite scenes in a movie is Superbad, where the main character goes on the soccer field and is talking to his best friend going, hey, we need to get some booze for a party. And this one kid yells at him and goes, hey, you need to get off the field. We're practicing for a game. And he goes, why don't you shut up, Brian, and go pee your pants like you did before? And he goes, that was like in fourth grade. It's like everyone will remember you for that thing. They're always going to remember you as that kid. Now, whether or not, you could be the kid that ate mayonnaise. You could be the kid that eats out of ketchup packets and stuff. You're always going to be that kid to your peers. Now, I'm not saying that she did weird things like that, but I'm saying you can't change people's perceptions about you in your hometown.
Yeah.
Because they've already got these notions. They know you. They might not know you on a emotional or a spiritual level, but they know you. They've been around. They've seen who you are. So it is a tragedy, but I can't stand when people spread miscommunication and lies about this stuff. And in this, what is the site called? The All About Owasso? No. People are organizing and they're wanting to go talk to the student council, or not student council, the Owasso
teachers
board,
educational board.
And I don't know what they're going to do. Like, there's a lot of issues with the board, folks, a lot. But one of them is they have to reach out to a lady or a secretary, whoever, and she approves the topics that get talked about at the meetings. So you can't just randomly talk about something at one of the meetings. Like, they have to be approved. And like I said, if she disapproves you, then you don't get to talk about it. Now, I get it. These people have lives outside of
the
school board. But like I said, the fact that they can approve or disapprove a subject for certain community members is rough. But I understand the practicality behind it, because they have lives, so they don't want to sit there and listen to people talk for blowhard 6 hours and be like, this is the end of the world. I get it. We all have lives. We ain't got time for that. However, it's a fine line they're walking. So I don't know what they think that they're going to get accomplished. Like, they're trying to organize. They're trying to, bullying's a problem in Owasso. Bullying's a problem everywhere, not just in Owasso.
Bullying has been around as long as, society's been around, and especially as long as school has been around.
You can't sanitize it. It's not going to go away. And all these people are going, yeah, they're like, I remember reading some comments. I'm like, they release text messages. You can see all the bullying. It's like, okay, where did you get this information? You hope you're not reaching out. Again, like I said, I'm not accusing these people of being groomers or whatnot, but like I said, reaching out to kids, because the only people who would know this is either the family, and it looks like the family's going silent for the time being. They said stop with the aggressive behavior, according to the Owasso paper. But where are you getting this information from? I hope you're not reaching out and talking to children to get this information. That is very sociopathic, odd behavior. Very creepy behavior. Now, I understand people wanting to get to the truth, but you don't reach out to children to get it. Or minors. They're not children. Some of them are teenagers. I get that. So they're wanting to go and get something done. But what is the school board going to do? Honestly, don't give people power, because they seldom give it back. Don't pass a law, because that law will seldom get repealed. And you don't know what the unforeseen consequences of passing that could be. You might let's say you love all the people on the Owasso school board. You love them. What happens when somebody replaces them that you don't like and they enforce that rule in a way you weren't quite sure about? You going to be happy about that? What happens if they just add an amendment to this? Say, and this too. You have to be careful. Because somebody you might not like might take control. I mean, I know everybody, people of political persuasions opposite of my own really hate whoever is in charge of the education system currently. They hate him. I think he's okay, but, I'm not super involved in the school board stuff, so I don't really feel the reprisals of it. But yeah, there's just too much going on right now, folks. People are blaming Libs of TikTok, and Libs of TikTok doesn't really make her own posts. She just reposts videos about these crazy people.
Yep.
And stop bullying. How are you going to stop that? Nobody knows the context of the situation. Nobody knows who the aggressor was in the situation. They're saying you've seen these text messages. Cool. I'll secede that point, like maybe so. But you can't stop bullying. This isn't the first scandal Owasso's had. I remember whenever I went to college. And when I went to college, Owasso made headlines for hazing, paddling kids at the Owasso football. And I remember being in college and somebody asked me, hey, did you get paddled when you were at Owasso when you played football? And I was like, what are you talking about? And they're like, yeah, you guys are the paddle school, like you paddle each other. And I was like, no, I don't even know what you're talking about. I haven't even heard this. So I had to research a rumor and an article and figure out what was going on. And then I actually just went back to the school and talked to somebody who I was still friends with. Mm-hmm. Like as a freshman. And I was like, I was a freshman in college. They were like a senior. And they're like, oh yeah, these two dummies. One of their older brothers is a sophomore at OSU, and he had a paddle, brought it home, and was telling him all this cool stuff they do in his fraternity, and he was like, that's cool. He took his brother's paddle, took it to practice, and was like, we're going to do this here, and have initiations and stuff it's like literally 2 kids. But it seemed like the entire, it's like, this is something that the article made it feel like, or maybe as kids or people, if I wasn't the one who read it, I wasn't the other one that read it away. People who came up to me and were like, did you get paddled too? Read it that way. It's like, this is a tradition at Owasso. It's like this whole dazed and confused thing. It's like, no, it was literally 2 kids who were like, yeah, this seems like a fun idea. And do it. And like I said, sure, that one kid that got paddled probably didn't have a good time and felt embarrassed and humiliated by the whole thing. But it was just 2 kids who thought it would be a funny, cool idea.
Yeah. Well, even then, from what I remember them talking about, they said they only asked kids who agreed to do it, and then one kid got scared and didn't want to do it anymore. And then he's the one that caused, exactly, he caused the scene.
So think of that. That is what we're talking about here. Some type of miscommunication, and yet people weaponize that and turn it into the ridiculous nature of the dazed and confused style of hazing that went on at Owasso, when nothing like that happened when I was there. I was there a year before. Crazy. And I'm sitting there lost in the sauce, not knowing what's going on. And that's what a lot of these people who are jumping on this, you're all lost in the sauce.
They read a headline and they jumped to a conclusion.
Yes. So that's why we have to be careful. And again, what policy are you going to institute to stop this? You can't mitigate it. People are always going to have disagreements. They're always going to find a way to bully people who are strange, different, or, just odd. It's just the way it is. Now, I'm not saying the kid was odd. I'm just saying people have different, there are personality clashes and culture clashes.
Saying it's right either, but
you can't stop
it. Like I said, kids will be kids. Like I said, kids are vicious. I said everyone was in high school. Everyone's been to high school. What did telling the adults make things better for you when you were getting bullied? No, it didn't. And you usually didn't. I said, if kids were like me, you didn't tell your parents. I said, the minimal times that I did, like, you didn't go home, tell your parents. I said, that just made you embarrassed and made you feel worse about it. I said, does nobody remember being a high school kid?
Yeah. Now, we're not saying go to your parents, talk to your parents,
Especially if it's getting to the point where it's violent.
Yeah. And if it's persisting, like nobody ever texted me like stuff outside of school. And like I said, if that kind of thing's happening, go to your parents. Let them know. Worst case scenario, remove your kid from the school. If your kid's getting it that bad, take him out of school. That is your responsibility as a parent. But the school can't mitigate bullying. It's like, yes, the school can take away kids' cell phones when they enter the school. It's like, hey, you don't get your cell phone. I'm taking it from you. Now, there could be legal complications there. I mean, you could get a lawyer involved and be like, yeah, you're not allowed to take personal property off a student, even in school grounds. I'm sure that issue's already been discussed. So you got to be careful. I mean, I remember them taking cell phones from kids in my class back in the day, but that was per class.
Yeah, that was
so
teachers.
A teacher would hand it back to him after class. But like I said, they'd be sitting there goofing on their phone text. And this is back in the day of flip phones.
Yeah, but this is when texting was just basically starting.
Yeah, it was in its, pseudo infancy. It'd been around for a bit, but that's about the only thing a teacher can do. Like, what do you do? It's like school take away a kid's phone so they can't bully them outside of school. Well, I'll just get on my computer at home, start typing up, make a TikTok, whatever. Like, you can't stop it. And even if the mom takes away the kid's phone, there's no guarantee the bullies stop. They'll make a group chat, or they'll keep making bullies, and then they come back to it, and like you're out of the loop of like, did you see that video that they put of your face on something and everybody was making fun of you? It's like, nope. Well, everybody else does. It's like, so this is difficult. Like, people think this is a simple solution. This is not. This is so more complicated than the school could ever even hope to solve. This is a problem that nobody can really solve. But we're trying to make a school board get it figured out.
Yeah. And even then, back in the day, it's like girls are vicious too. It's like that's how girls did it back even in our day before cell phones. Was if they had a girl that they didn't like, the gossip. It was the gossip, and they would shun them from their table. I remember seeing girls like crying over stuff like that back in the day. Yeah, and we're talking like elementary school.
Yeah.
So I said, you can't stop this stuff. It is ingrained in our human DNA to ostracize and, do stuff to people. Not that it's right, but trying to stop bullying is like trying to catch the wind.
Yes.
It's impossible.
Yes. It like the only thing I can say is, my brothers in Christ, return to the Lord. We need to return to some type of moral compass that Christianity is about the only thing that I think can bring it to you. And I don't know. This is a very difficult, complex subject, and it's a shame that people have weaponized it and blown it up as bad as. It's tragic too, though. But I understand why it happens. But again, what are they going to do? So what they're going to do is they'll say, we're going to bring in a speaker once a month or something like that, and it's going to be a DEI, gender inclusion speaker who's going to get, or they'll make them take tests. Like at the University of Tulsa, right before we left, they started instituting mandatory sexual assault training before you could sign up for your classes the following year. If you didn't take this training, you couldn't sign up for classes next year. It'll be the same. I bet you they have a DEI and gender inclusive test that they make them take now too. Like, what, you're going to do that in institute in the school and make tons of kids who don't even care or bother with this stuff learn about this crap? This is when people institute these policies, this is when test scores drop, because the focus is on the wrong thing. Instead of education, we're trying to focus on diversity, inclusion, and equity. It's like, no, the world's not fair. Life's not fair. That's what you have to teach kids. You have to teach them how to
deal with it,
and deal with it in a positive way. Like I said, again, it's a shame that this happened. But again, there's not a lot you can do to mitigate this stuff. And I'm not willing to grant more power to the schools or to the school boards for them to figure out a way to solve this problem, because there's not a way to solve this problem. The only way to solve this problem is for parents to be more involved in their kids' lives. Mm-hmm. You have to be involved in your children's lives. You need to have that, even if they despise you for it as teenagers. I don't want to sit at the dinner table. I don't want to have a conversation. Ask them how their day is. Ask them what they learned at school. Ask them what's going on in their lives. Be involved. Be the parent that has, I want your friends to come over here and hang out at my house.
Said put down the phone and
turn off the TV.
Get together, do something.
Especially get off social media. A big reason for this too is social media. I think this girl turned out the way she did because social media. I don't think if she had heard a lot of this ideology stuff, she'd be in the position she's in, and they wouldn't be weaponizing this as harshly as it was. Social media is probably the primary killer of young teens today.
Yeah, I said being bullied on social media is the worst. If you don't have enough followers, you don't have enough friends. You know, I said everyone's likes and subscribes, whatever.
Or
like that's what
the opposite.
matters.
You're an outcast. You get put into a group. You find a group of people that are in certain communities that encourage you to change things about yourself that aren't the way a lot of us feel, aren't good for society, aren't good for them, and they encourage them to become something that they really truly can't. Now take that as you will, but that's the way I feel. And I don't feel like the Owasso school system is corruptly and evilly hiding this thing.
No.
I know a lot of the teachers there,
And
I know a
everything-
lot of the instructors there. There's a lot of fantastic people in the Owasso public school system, period.
And everything that I've read and seen so far says the fight was broken up immediately in the bathroom by other students and a teacher that was out in the hallway.
Other
and then they
students
were
ended
taken to the principal's office where they were both talked to, counseled. They saw the nurse, and then their parents were notified immediately. Both, all the individuals involved, you know, parents were notified immediately. So you can't say that the school's keeping a secret, but it's not like they're going to go around like telling, hey, everyone in the Owasso community, guess what just happened? That's gossip. That's
Yes.
gossip.
And again, why isn't the story that the fight was immediately broken up and other students came to their aid to stop this?
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah, that's not the story. The story is bullying.
Mm-hmm.
And just to kind of help wrap things up here, there is a community candle vigil at the Redbud Festival Park for Nex Benedict. And that is on February 25th at 6:30 p.m. Again, that was a candle vigil at the Redbud Festival Park in Owasso, the 25th of February.
Yeah. So go out and support that. Be a part of it. Be a part of this community. And again, please, for those of you out there who think Owasso is just this evil place, it's not. There's a lot of fantastic people here. There's a lot of fantastic teachers in that school. There might be some we've definitely had some not so great ones that have been kicked out of the schools. I mean, they do a good job removing the teachers that don't need to be here. Like when we actually have issues with folks. I mean, this is a good community. There's a lot of good people here. Darn good teachers, some great coaches. I'm a product of that system. Is it perfect? Absolutely not. Is it the worst system out there? Of course not. A lot of great people there. A lot of great people in this town. And even the people that don't agree with me, I can appreciate where they're coming from.
Yep.
I can appreciate their zeal and their fervor for wanting something to get done. But let's not just spin our wheels in the mud and overreact. Let the family grieve. Let's grieve this girl and let it be known that it is sad and it is a tragedy.
And getting,
but I think this is a mental health tragedy more than it is a evil conspiracy cover-up.
Yeah. Don't attribute malice to stupidity, where you can attribute stupidity.
Or
Most
ignorance.
Of the time it's, stupidity and ignorance. It's not a big grandiose conspiracy to keep everything hidden and, you know.
Yes. I mean, is it possible that the Owasso school system is this corrupt, evil, malicious organization, or is it that they're just
people?
They're just people, and they can't solve all the problems, and they're just ignorant of certain things. Like, I mean, you don't tell your teachers stuff. Teachers are busy trying to do their jobs. They're not going to be looking to solve every single problem in the school. And a kid doesn't come to them, a kid doesn't come to them. They can't tell. Like, I mean, It's just the way it is. I can't read your mind. Neither can they.
Yep.
Don't ask them to. Don't require them to.
Yeah.
Don't make them watch and look at every single kid. You guys look like you're bullying. You know, it's like, and it's tough because, guys, that's how we bond. It's like we are cruel to each other, and it's a bonding thing. So, sorry, I will move on past this. I know that We've beaten this like a dead horse, but
Well, and the only other thing that I'll touch on is like the schools and certain officials are receiving death threats and terrorist threats from this. And like I said, they sent out the FBI and the Oklahoma State counterterrorism unit to
yeah,
here.
that's
So
right.
that's
Yep.
another thing that no one's realized either is like, well, you thought one kid getting bullied and unfortunately losing their life. Now the entire Owasso school district is receiving terrorist
Yeah, well,
threats.
that's what happens whenever. I mean, like I said, again, Libs of TikTok exposing some of the more corrupt, disgusting teachers in the Owasso school system. Like I said, two. I think we've had two, but all she does is repost their videos, and then now that Owasso's on the map because of her, and that she's kind of involved in the Owasso Education Board because of our education guy, that we're in the cultural zeitgeist of TikTok now. And like I said, they're viewing this as this is Libs of TikTok's fault. It's like, no, it's not. That's a ridiculous claim. I don't even think these kids in school probably know who Libs of TikTok is or care.
God knows I didn't care about politics when I was in high
No,
school.
I wasn't even. I didn't even have a political awakening until post college. So you couldn't have told me anything about politics before I got out of college. So, and if you're trying to weaponize these kids and pull them into the political sphere this early, what is wrong with you? There's nothing wrong with kids being politically aware, but at the same time, let's let them focus on getting out of high school and getting their degrees and going to college or going into a trade. And then they can worry about, once they start paying taxes, then they can start worrying about which political aisle they want to affiliate with.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Truth.
let the kids be kids. Now, let's move on to
Something a little bit more upbeat.
yes. So, in more national news, well, I guess what they released the Epstein.
Well, they're getting ready to. From what I understand, Ron DeSantis is signing a bill or something into law to release the Epstein lists.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll find out what's going on with that. And like this is the stuff from like 2008, I believe. So this is the stuff that was uncovered a while back, from what I understand, about the little limited information that I've seen and read about it.
Mm-hmm.
So you have anything else to say about that? I mean, that's good news in my opinion.
Yeah,
So we'll
I mean-
finally get to see why he all of a sudden just disappeared and everything just stopped about that case. It's going to be nice to hear.
Yeah, I imagine there's a lot of higher up government officials, past and present, who will not be happy the list is coming out. Imagine there's going to be a boatload of celebrities on there, so it's going to be. I mean, you'll probably lose. I mean, we already have a lot of the lists pseudo released. Like they have a bunch of names of celebrities and stuff who've been out there already. But it'll be cool to have it officially released, and instead of it just being screenshots that certain people have been just kind of sneaking out, and they're like, oh well, we can't confirm that.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm excited for it. Hopefully, justice will be done, and we get to see. I mean, like I said, just knowing these people and knowing who they are and figuring out whether or not they were just pawns to the system or if they were big time players and movers and shakers with this guy.
Mm-hmm. See, if you just want my conspiracy theory, I think he was probably working for like some sort of central intelligence agency.
I bet you he has a CIA. He's a CIA,
which is why it always just disappears all of a sudden. Because like he's getting dirt on somebody, so that way.
Well, they already had that testimony case where the CIA they asked that question. Do you guys use child prostitution rings in order to get dirt on people? And like the CIA, his answer was deafening. Oh, I can either confirm or deny that. Like, whoa. You mean you guys might be utilizing people who use underage kids to pigeonhole people into being informants for you guys?
So
I mean, an effective, I get it from their perspective, an effective way to do it, but also, I mean, it's government sanctioned evil at that point.
Yep. I would say at that point when they say something like that, the answer is probably yes, we do, or yes, we have at some point.
Or we have knowledge of something like that, whether or not he was the one that gave the, yeah, you're good, do it, So that's another scary thought, but that's about all we've got for you today. Hopefully that list gets released soon. And again, our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of the girl who is no longer with us. I know a lot of us, again, we come from different perspectives and political persuasions about how this issue is looked at. But at the end of the day, our thoughts and prayers go out to this girl and her family. And it's a loss for not only them but the city of Owasso, and it doesn't look good on us as a community. So
That's true.
hopefully, lessons can be learned from this. So, with that being said, I hope everyone has a wonderful day. Drive safe out there. This is the Twins with Owasso Live, and this was the Morning Loop. God bless y'all out there.